तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। प्रातः स्मरामि हृदि संस्फुरदात्मतत्त्वम् सच्चित् सुखं परमहं सगतिं तुरीयम् यत् स्वप्नजागरसुषुप्तमभेति नित्यम् तद्ब्रह्म निष्कलमहं न च भूतसङ्गः। तपोभीक्षीणपापानां शान्तानां वीतरागिनां मुमुक्षोऽनामपेक्षोऽयम् आत्मबोधो विधीयते। So today's topic we had decided previously was the three mental states, but since I got a lot of messages of Guru Purnima and Happy Guru Purnima, decided to give a little bit of a talk on the role of a teacher as far as Guru Purnima is concerned. Guru means remover of all darkness. Gu means dispeller, remover. Ru means darkness. So remover of all darkness. Remover of agyanta, ignorance. Guru's role as far as the relationship between the student and the Guru is concerned, in fact, is totally negligible, completely. Guru Purnima is celebrated also as Vyasa Purnima because Guru Purnima, the day is considered to be Ved Vyasa's birthday. So he is the Param Guru. And therefore, when we celebrate Guru Purnima, it is never the personality before you, but it is that supreme reality that functions through various personalities before us and perhaps will come after us. There is no way of ending this Guru Shishya Parampara. Purnima, from one Purnima to another Purnima takes 40 days. Purnima means full moon. So this Guru Purnima is celebrated right on the outset of the rainy season. So when the rain season starts, it becomes much more cooler in the higher plains of the Himalayas. So these great masters used to come down to a lower plain where the temperature was perfect for them to not roam around, and because of the rains they would not go anywhere. So they would sit for 40 days in their own houses and kutiyas and study. So the time of those 40 days of Guru Purnima from one Purnima to another represents the introversion of the teacher. He or she is focusing on 40 days of self-study. When they are studying, naturally people around would come after the studies is over, and there would be, they just wanted some sharing of the knowledge. So they would just interact with people, the teacher, and ask him or her different questions related to philosophy of how can I become a better person than what I was before. And the teacher would discuss it, and that became a Guru Purnima ritual. So it is never the Guru who says, excuse me, it is Guru Purnima, so take my blessings. It is always the seeker who seeks the blessings of the Guru. Guru to aisa chahiye शिष्य से कुछ न ले, शिष्य तो ऐसा चाहिए गुरु को सब कुछ दे. The attitude of the shishya and the guru has to be such. So various kinds of people moving around in the world, all of them heavily burdened, agitated, stressed, and you ask them the reasons for stress and there's dime a dozen. If you can imagine a flow of river in the valley flowing from one end to the other end, and when the other end approaches, the water falls in a precipice. It just falls down, becomes the waterfall. Similarly, if you can imagine human beings coming from one end of growth, they are walking or running in their own momentum in a particular herd, which we call a herd instinct. They're just moving on with the force of others pushing them behind, and therefore they have to move. And this process of the human being going from birth to growth to maturity to disease to decay and eventually falling down the precipice is death. This flow is constantly. So if you can visualize the whole thing of a flow of human beings, of lakhs and lakhs of people flowing from one end going towards the other, all of them seeking answers to their own problems, being sucked in that vortex of the crowd, moving on from one direction to another. One person gets up within the crowd and says, listen, enjoy the ride, have fun. This process is not going to stop. There is nothing we can do. So be in the flow. Enjoy what you're going. Enjoy. And he starts impressing some people. But nevertheless, the crowd is still moving from one end to another. Therefore, this person who is talking also is moving from one end to another, ultimately falling in the precipice. This person is a person who says, we are in the world, we don't have a choice, so let's enjoy. Let's indulge in all the sense objects, all the sense contacts. Let's indulge in all the human relations as much as possible, because there is nothing else but this. This is the crowd. We started from here, we are going there. This is one type of a guru. The second type of a guru, who comes up from the same people, it's not somebody else falling from the skies, is who decides to move away from the flow. He finds himself a small rock, stands on that small rock, and he is preaching to the crowd that is flowing. Incessantly it is flowing from one end to the other. And he is saying, listen, you don't need to be in the crowd. You don't need to be in this competition. You don't need to be burdened with all these likes and dislikes and desires and agitations and depression, nervous. You don't need to be. Okay, others are getting burdened. You don't need to be. Some people listen. And they are listening, and their face is positioned towards the person who is talking on the rock. But the momentum of the crowd is so much that they keep on saying, yes, yes, we need to change. Yes, we need to change. But the momentum takes them and they perish. And this person standing on the rock sees the people listening, sees the people getting impressed, sees that they are trying to implement the knowledge of this highest reality in their life, yet the flow cannot be stopped. They don't have the inherent intrinsic strength to get out of that flow, and they go away. Punarappi jananam, punarappi maranam, punarappi janani jatare shayanam. Adi Shankaracharya. Again birth, again death, again lying in the mother's womb. Iha samsare bahudustare, kripaya pare pahi murare. Please, Murari, this world is very difficult to cross over. I don't know how to do it. Only with your grace, I can do it. I'll explain to you eventually that grace. And the second teacher who's standing on the hillock is a frustrated person from within, saying that there is no change. In fact, there cannot be any change. Whatever I do, there cannot be a change. This is the second type of a person. The third type of a person is nowhere to be seen. That third type of a person is sitting in a tall peak somewhere. The whole crowd is moving this way, and as the crowd is moving and ready to fall into the precipice, one of the child or one of the youngster, man, woman or child, happens to look at the top of the cliff. When he or she sees the top of the cliff, he or she sees a person sitting there, very peaceful, very calm, very serene, nobody around. There is a different glow of peace and happiness in that person's face. Now this person is completely enamored by that figure, and he wants that kind of serenity in his own life. Now the struggle of the student starts. This person has to remove himself, extricate himself physically from that flow. Flow of competing realities everywhere, flow of standard of living, flow of all the rituals and systems which the world has made. He has to physically extricate himself. And after physically getting out of that system, mentally, he or she have their own people around, their own relationships who are flowing. Now the choice for this young person is stop and lend them a hand so that they can also extricate themselves. But they are so influenced by the flow. They are so influenced by people around them that there is no way you can help them. In fact, if you lend them a hand, they will pull you down, because their conviction in the unreal aspects of life is much more than your conviction on the reality. Therefore, the second battle, the first battle is physically getting out of the system. Second battle is mentally saying that I don't want to be a part of it. That's much more difficult job, because mentally getting out is you know that you have a set of people around you right from childhood, they were there with you, and now you want to extricate yourself out of it. Khalil Gibran says it beautifully in The Prophet, the first chapter itself. He says, my ship, Al-Mustafa, he says, my ship has come and I need to leave. But how can I leave my near and dear ones behind? Because they will not understand. What they will not understand is, even when I'm going away from them, it is the ripping off of my skin from my body rather than thoughts from my mind. That kind of a pain, to extricate yourself and move. So this person mentally also gets away in the name of detachment. I will help everybody provided I have the strength to help myself first. I'll become strong, then I'll help everybody else. So this person starts, and he starts moving towards that teacher, that guru who shines like fire there, one by one. And then he has to be prepared. Now he's taking the ardent journey of getting away from everything, gathering enough strength into his body, mind, and intellect, and reaching that level. So what is the strength he needs? First of all, a constant vision, an uninterrupted vision of that reality. You lose the view there, you are put back into the world. So constant looking upwards and saying, I see that, I see that, I see that person. Number one. Number two, gather the will to get off from all you know, to propel yourself into the realms of the unknown. You need to give up a lot to reach that higher state. So that will to fight and endure yourself. Endure your own mind so that it doesn't drag you down, and keep on pulling that you want to reach there. That will to not give up. Come what may, I am not going to give up on my dream. So what? Kuch kariye, that song is there. Nas nas meri khole, kuch kariye. Ab doobe tariye ya mariye. Either you sink or swim or die, but do something. That kind of a strange willpower to reach the highest. Point number 2. Point number 3. You are focusing on collecting everything when you were with the crowd. This is required, this is required, this is required, this is required. All these are required there when you are living in the views and opinions of the crowd, which is falling in the precipice anyway. Now, whatever you have collected, since you are climbing up towards the peak, you have to give up a lot of things which were once essential, which are now non-essentials. Just like a person climbing a peak, a mountaineer, he gathers everything from the base camp, but as soon as he goes ahead, he says, this is not required, this is not required, this is not, and then he takes the minimum essential equipments and moves ahead. What are the minimum essential equipments? The will to go ahead, reach the highest. Tapo bhi sheena papa nam. The first prayer, what we do tapas. When you do tapas, physically enduring whatever comes in your way, sheena papa nam, all the sins are destroyed. No more agitations are there. Then the mind becomes shanta nam. I am become very peaceful now. Whatever happens in the external situations and circumstances, it doesn't touch me even with an iron rod, a 50 meter iron rod. It doesn't touch me. It doesn't bother me at all. Shantanam, Vitaraginam, all the desires, what I had of, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this from the point of view of I is dropped off. Doesn't matter, do it. But that need not be an arrogation that I have to do it. When you focus between the statement, I have to do it, the focus is more on I, the more tired you are. The focus is more on do it, you get more energy. This way, this is the equipment which the person has. And he step by step moves ahead until he reaches the Almighty Guru. What is the role of Guru in all this? Try to think about it. It's very interesting. He has not spoken a single word. He is not even looking at the student. He's just sitting in his own pristine glory, neither wanting to interact with the world, neither to get out of the world, because there is no world. Because what the world we understand as agitations and stress and complications doesn't exist for this person. He or she in that mountain peak is of entirely a different level. So this person reaches with all the struggle. Everything belongs to the student. All the struggle, he reaches that peak and falls at the feet of the master. Now, the master looks at him, but he is not impressed. There has to be more test for the student. Just by wading through animals and coming out and thinking that I want to study further, it's not possible. You have to do more tapas. What is that more tapas? Mumukshatva, that fear of I want to liberate myself. Let the whole world say your duties and responsibilities are this. I don't belong here. For further reference of what I am understanding, please Read a book called Jonathan Livingston Seagull. You'll come to know what I'm talking. Where the seagull wanted to fly high and the focus was only on its growth. Everybody, all the seagull generation said, you are not meant to fly. If you wanted to fly, the nature would have given you eagle wings. You have been given a seagull wing. You can't fly. It just can't understand. The bumblebee is got a unique capacity. You know, the blue, the violet one, the big garden bee, which used to be there a lot of outside. Such a big bee. Usually it's called the garden variety, big bee, violet. Its body and its wings are inversely proportional. For a body like that, if you have a proper wingspan, then the bumblebee can fly. Anybody can fly. But nature has not gifted the bumblebee that kind of wings. Proportionately, extremely small wings and a big body. So scientifically, technically, logically, the bumblebee cannot fly. Science proves with all its measurements that the bumblebee cannot fly. Alas, the bumblebee does not know about it and it continues flying. That attitude, the person looks up, he sees the Guru, and Guru says, still some more qualities to be done. And what are the qualities of the student to understand this reality? Maybe near the Guru, Sameep of the Guru, very close to the Guru, but understanding will be zero. You'll be still talking about money and all other aspects which the world prefers. All the other aspects without reaching the spirituality. Highest goal. You'll be talking everything, but reaching that high. So what should be done? In the Bhagavad Gita, there is one verse, the relationship between the Guru and the student. Tadviddhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Qualities of a student. Tat viddhi, tat, that, viddhi, understand. It should come in an understanding, it should not be in the books. Ah, right, acha, this is the way the Guru is, acha, acha, this is the way I am a student, okay, okay, and then gone. No, it's not that. Bring it into your understanding, bring it into your transforming of your personality. Tatvidhi pranipatena, complete surrender. Complete surrender to the lotus feet of the Guru. Therefore, in Guru Purnima times, olden times, the Guru's feet was washed with water. And that water was given as a prasada to others. It was called Charanamrit. Charana, feet, Amrit. Amrit is that which doesn't destroy, which creates a heaven in you. Nothing mortal can have its effect on you. Charanamrit, because that water cleaning is come from the feet of the Guru, and the feet of the Guru is where the Guru's personality is standing. The whole personality, the eternal principles sustained in that Guru is standing on that feet, and to that feet I bow. This is called pranipatena, complete surrender. Since you have fought out your way up now, complete surrender to what the teacher is saying. If he says jump, you jump. If he says this doesn't work, doesn't work. There are no doubts. Pranipatena. Second quality, pariprashnena. It is not blind surrender. It is not closing your eyes and saying, oh my God, he said this, I should do it. No. Pariprashnena. Keep on inquiring. Not questioning. When you use the term questioning in English language, it means you have an arrogating stance and say, how you are saying this. It's not that. It's an inquiry to the teacher of, can you please explain how you have derived this conclusion from all the information what is got down. You inquire 1,000 times to a particular teacher. I give you a guarantee, if the teacher is worth his name in salt, he will give you or she will give you 1,000 types, different methods reaching to the same answer, so that ultimately you understand. They'll never get angry with questions. You will not find a single teacher who is angry with questions, and if he is angry or she is angry with the question, that person is not a teacher. You have to inquire 1,000 times, and 1,000 times he or she will answer, provided it is out of love. Like some master says, honeyed and pickled in love. When you use those terms, lovingly you are asking, I'm sorry, but I could not understand. Can you explain this a little bit more elaborately? Done. 1,000 times. Pariprashnena, you have to inquire into the nature of the reality. You have to inquire into the nature of the supreme reality and find out who you are. That is permanent. This is temporary. So how is this equal to that? Inquire. I'm not feeding you questions, but this is the way you inquire. Pariprashnena. And then what you do? Sevaya. You do seva of the Guru. When you are doing seva of the Guru, you think about what all the Guru sustains on and give it to the Guru. This is what people say. Therefore, most of the Gurus, if not all, are collecting more and more money, cars, fan following. Their whole aspect focus is built only, still confused in the world. They have all the credentials to show in the world, nothing beyond that. There are dime a dozen diamonds flowing off in the market, which are called American diamonds. So somebody asked Swami Ramatirtha, is there a real Guru somewhere? So Ramatirtha says, of course there is. Just the reason that all these American diamonds, the artificial diamonds, are flowing in the market proves the point that there is one real diamond somewhere. Seva towards that. It's a seva towards that. So the biggest seva you can do, Dravya Yagya, Tapo Yagya, Yoga Yagya, Swadhyaya Jnana Yagya. All these things, Yagyas are there. The last Yagya is the highest Yagya. Self-study. A Guru doesn't want anything else except a complete concentrated effort of the student in what all these Sanatana Dharma textbooks have taught us, and follow the line where you live peacefully in a non-agitated state. That's all. So you do seva from that point of view. Tat viddhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshyanti te jnanam. Te jnanam, the knowledge will be given to you. Don't worry. All the efforts the student has put, the teacher has not put a single effort. After all the efforts you have put properly, the knowledge will come to you. Upadeshyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. From the person who has seen the reality, understood the reality in essence. It is not something to be seen because it is not objective in nature. It is subjective, experienced to whatever. So they have experienced the reality. With the understanding of the reality, they have understood that this world is temporary. Therefore, whatever is happening in the world should not upset the serenity of my own mind. These personalities, not these personalities because it is not majority. This person who's understood what that eternal principle is there in his or her own personality. They have introduced themselves through that. Tattva darshinaha. It's darshan. Darshan is never outside. Aaj mujhe Bhagwan ke darshan hue is not darshan in the temple. Darshan within me. And that technique of having the darshan within yourself cannot be Googled. It cannot be downloaded. The information, how to have darshan within yourself. No. This is the state of inspiration which each one of us has to reach. The job of the guru is only to show the direction towards the higher. That's all. 99.999% all the efforts are done by the student. So don't celebrate Guru Purnima to create a difference between a guru and a student and say they have reached here, we can't reach there. This is exactly opposite of Guru Purnima. The real reason for celebrating Guru Purnima is that person has reached a particular place mentally. I can see the serenity in this person's face and body language. I want to reach that. So subsequently, the coming 40 days till the next Guru Purnima, I am going to sit, introspect in my life and change my life to the better to match that. If he can do it, why can't me? If that person, a great Rishi, has done it, the same abilities I also have, we can do it. This prana, this principle, this fight within yourself to reach that state and not give up under any circumstances is what is celebrated as Guru Purnima. Thank you very much. Oh.